and I currently live in the Bay Area of California, originally from the Monterey Bay, so I'm not too far. Um, and I own Harvest Pursuit, so business consulting, kind of integrating, creative marketing and a lot of other things outside of that, providing all the services to support entrepreneurs and small businesses as they're growing and just getting out into other avenues of their business, being able to support them with whatever goals they have.
I love that. And I think that's how we connected too through
Yeah.
Instagram and you just reaching out. And you've been a huge supporter, by the way, by always offering to help and doing giveaways too. So that's always been fun to do with you. Um, how did you I feel like with your niche, it's very unique. I feel it's similar to mine where not that many people are doing it. You hear a lot about candles, journals, and all these other things.
Right.
And it's like someone who's supporting small businesses, you don't hear that too often.
Yeah.
So can you share with us how you started or how you came up with that idea and how you came up with your name too?
Yeah. Yeah. So after I had my son in COVID, I was looking to see what else could I do. I wanted to be home with him, so I knew I wanted to be available, something flexible. I could have some freedom in my schedule, and also my husband coaches college football, so we were like moving every couple years. So I was like, what can I do and take wherever I go, and just what do I want? What can I contribute? And it was kind of a longer process trying to figure it out, but I noticed a lot of our friends and family were entrepreneurs or wanting to start businesses. And I was wanting to contribute so much to them and support them and give feedback. And I felt like it was received well and they kept coming back for more. And I think that number one, it was like my heart of service. Like I felt like I was investing in what they're doing. And honestly, when you connect with someone who's really passionate about what they're doing, it's so easy to like gravitate and like, be on fire for them too and be excited for them. So that's kind of where like the idea came from. And then honestly, the name, um, it was funny because I felt like I came up with so many ideas, asked so many people for advice. I wanted something that stuck out. And I felt like harvest, everyone thought of like farming or something.
Yeah.
But for me, a lot of the inspiration came from um, scripture, my faith of like you reap what you sow kind of thing, and like being able to know that like being able to support entrepreneurs and small businesses. I only want to work with people who are passionate and are on fire. So it's like, okay, so I see, what they want and what they're sowing, right? And seeing what I know they want to harvest. So how can we get there? So I don't know, it kind of like evolved from that and just being able to pursue that. So that's kind of where the name came from. But I feel like too, the niche is and it's funny because I feel like now too, with so much of entrepreneurs, small businesses, coaching, I mean, business coaching, like all of that stuff, it's like how to make millions of dollars and how to do all this stuff. And I feel like it's always like 0 to 100 kind of thing. And
Yeah.
there are so many people who start out with side hustles or who have full-time jobs that maybe they even like it, but they still have this little passion on the side, or maybe, I don't know, there's just so many paths that lead to your business. And I know it's definitely not the norm because not all entrepreneurs and small business owners have the funds and finances to like for someone like me to support. So it was an interesting start of like, how do I charge people who are not in the position yet, but I want to get
Yeah.
them there. So I feel like that's why I was really drawn to that audience, because like they're the ones who really need it and they want it. And so that's why it's like it's easy to work with people who are going to do the work, because I know that they're going to get those results. So it's been
Yeah.
been really fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool to know. I never knew about the brand name, so it's nice
Yeah.
to hear a backstory to it.
Yeah, I know it's definitely not like I don't know, something general. And even with like the logo, like the visual, my cousin created the logo. And so it was cool to like come up with it together, especially with the name. It was fun. So
And do you work by yourself or do you have a team that you work with?
yeah. So when I started, it was just me.
Mhm.
Um, and I would say, I don't even know, maybe it was 6 months, 6 to 8 months, and I hired my first VA.
Oh,
And she's still with me to this day. And then it really organically grew. I now have besides me, I have a team of 10 people, which
oh,
is
wow.
so crazy to me because I never envisioned like the growth that quickly. I feel like the demand just the clients, kept referrals and all this was coming. And I mean, I knew my capacity wasn't growing. I had a little baby toddler, well, I still have a toddler at home. And I was
Mhm.
like, I can't technically, make more time in my schedule, but um, like it's working, it's happening, there's a need, all this stuff. So just slowly started growing the team. So we have a couple graphic designers, mostly virtual assistants that are all over the US, different skill sets. And most of them, which has been really cool, are stay at home mamas or moms that just want a little extra work. And
Yeah.
it's been really cool too, because that's why I started. And so to be able to create opportunities for them has been just so awesome. But yeah, so I have a team. Um, and it's cool. I mean, I'm hoping not to grow too much more because again, I'm at like my limit.
Did you
But
ever think you were gonna have to say that?
right. No, and that's funny. The past probably like 6 months too, it's like a great problem to have, right? Like you're
Yeah.
growing. No one says like, oh, I want to stop growing. But
Yeah.
I mean, my plan, especially again, I have a toddler and I'm pregnant with my second. And so my goal was, I mean, even to just set a foundation so that when they're both in school and I have all the time in the world, and I'm like, okay, now I have something that already has momentum and a reputation. And, I've done all that like dirty work to get everything set up. And so now I can actually like put my all into it. So yeah, I mean, I still have a couple more years till that's realistic. So I was like, if I can just like smooth sail through the rest of this, and my team again has been great. And any entrepreneur, we learn along the way, like learn
Yeah.
a lot. So yeah, but
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome. So, how was the moment for you when you realized it started growing? Because I'm sure that was like a highlight of your whole business journey.
Yeah, I know. I still look back and I'm like, how did this happen? I mean, even like little things that you're like, okay, now I have a team. Like it was kind of like backwards too, right? Even within the last couple months, I was like, I didn't have a foundation of even like my core values and like I'm in the process of creating a culture guide and onboarding process and training because I was like I just kept growing and I needed help and so I was hiring for the needs of my clients and not it's like I didn't have all that set up because that wasn't my plan wasn't to grow that fast.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like okay by the end of the year I'm going to hire this. It was just like it happened.
Yeah.
Um and the right help came along and even a couple friends like people from my past that I worked with living out of another state that have reconnected. And so it's been cool. But yeah, it was just like, I feel like it's always been like, is this really happening? Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I've always admitted, like, I don't always know what I'm doing. Like, even, oh my gosh, I'm sure, like with taxes and stuff going on. And I'm like trying to do my own bookkeeping. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely at the point now. I need to get some
Yeah.
for this because it's a good place to be. Like you said, the growth is great, but when you're not necessarily prepared or set up for it, it's like, uh-oh, but figure it out.
Which is comforting to hear because sometimes you feel pressured to have to know everything. So to know that you're growing and still learning as you're going, that's I think a good lesson for everyone to
That's
know. Like
one
you're
of the
not always
main
gonna
things.
know everything.
Totally. Oh my gosh. And I just ask my team like to give me grace. I'm like, I don't know. I don't always have the answers and I'm figuring it out. I'm doing the best I can. If you have better ideas, let me know. But I'm just glad that like they're all supportive and it's so cool to see the team again. None of them have ever met. I haven't even there's a couple I haven't even met in person. It's just really cool the relationships that some of them have made and it's a really collaborative team.
Mhm.
So I'm so grateful for that. I mean that people even want to work for me. Like what is happening?
It sounds like you're growing a lot, so you're meeting a lot of people. What would you say is most common problem that most of your clientele deal with? And then can you give us an example of how you help them to get over that hump or that problem that they're dealing with?
Yeah. I'd say there's two main things that stick out for me. One, I feel like is super obvious, and it's like social media because
Uh-huh.
right? It's time consuming, it's, all of that stuff. So I'd say that's one of the main things. All of our clients we do social media for.
Mhm.
Um, so whether it's the content creation, the schedule, the analytic, even just taking the time to go through the analytics and actually engage on their behalf and all that, it's like I just think it's just the time investment that it takes. So that's one of the main things, easy to fix, but obviously that's something that we will do. And then the main thing I would say, especially for those like really early stage entrepreneurs or the ones who do still have a full-time job or kids or whatever that extra, they're not solely focused on it, is accountability. I feel like
Mhm.
most of the time it's just, I mean, yes, like strategy and all that, but I always say like the pros of being an entrepreneur are sometimes the cons as well. Like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm my own boss. Like that's great. But then you're also like, I don't have anyone necessarily to bounce ideas off of or to like have those like brainstorming sessions to get feedback from. Sometimes we are too close to things and so we miss something. But just the accountability too. I mean, when you have another job or I mean, like you have full-time job, it's like you're the one that has to say, okay, you need to get this done, or like you because no one's telling you to do it, or no one's giving you, that deadline, or and not that I'm the enforcer, but it's just when you make that investment, it's in yourself and in your business, you have someone to encourage you, guide you, check in on you, support in any way possible. I mean, I feel like at this point, we have all the resources and support that you can need,
Yeah.
whether it's, graphic design or whatever. So I feel like that's a comfort too. Of course, again, it's an investment. You're paying for it, but I feel like when you're serious about it, and then you have someone that's checking on. I mean, the same thing with why do we hire personal trainers or anything like that?
Exactly.
It's like there's free videos you can work out on YouTube, or you can, I
Yeah.
mean, for me, like I've been a dancer my whole life. I know how to work out, but do I do it? And so it's like even just having someone there that you're like, I'm paying them to be here and watch me work out instead of I need it to get it done. It's like
Yeah.
that's what people, there's a lot of different things that's for. But yeah, so I'd say those are the two main pieces.
Which is funny because I actually was just kind of talking about something like that of I was talking with someone about creating a product and their first response was, well, there's a lot of people who are creating it. And I'm like, well, I don't even know where I got it from, but a video of someone saying, well, how many breads do you see at the store? And how many
Yeah.
brands do you see? Like, you can create it. It's just about how much work you're willing to put out there.
Mhm.
So yeah, I agree with you on the accountability. Like in the end, it depends on the person, not the product, really.
Yeah, totally. I mean, say whether it's the accountability or I would say even the motivation. I feel like most of us are motivated, but
Mhm.
at the same time, like you could easily talk yourself out of doing something because you're like, well, everyone else is doing this, or oh, I saw this on Instagram and they're looking like they're doing great, or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. So it's kind of like another person too to be your cheerleader, like to say, like, I believe in you. I mean, I will always say that. I don't want to, I'm at the point where again, I'm so grateful. I don't want this to sound like not I'm like, I'm at the point where I don't have to work with just anybody. Like I can choose who I want to work with, right? So when I do consultations or interviews and all this, it's like I want to know like you and your heart and your purpose and your mission and your message because if I connect to that and I believe in it, like we're
Mhm.
going in. And
Yeah.
so it's just like when if you have that doubt or if you have that worry, I mean, I have an author who just launched a book this Tuesday
Mhm.
and he spent some time looking at all the other books in his category who are a number one and have millions of reviews and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, but that's not like, like that's not. And so it's kind of just like that conversation sometimes you need to have of like, especially I have a lot more experience now with authors and book launches. So I'm able to actually give an opinion that's not just an opinion, but like I've experienced some things and that's not like this is normal, you know? And I feel like those are like you said, like it's just important to hear that sometimes. Like it's
Yeah.
normal to not know everything and to
Yeah.
figure it out as you go. And so yeah, I think that that helps too.
Yeah, would say that's probably one thing that kept me motivated is just having people remind you, like,
Mm,
hey, you're doing your thing. Remember that.
yeah,
Because, especially like you said earlier, social media can instantly make you compare yourself to other people out there
yeah,
when sometimes uh, we don't see their backstory. So we forget that there's more to it than what they post.
totally.
So, with your business, you mentioned that you help them with Instagram, social media, holding them accountable for what they do. What other things do you offer to your clients?
Yeah, I'm
What,
pretty well rounded. And I think that's been the cool part too. Again, learning as you go.
yeah.
Um, is kind of seeing as you grow with a client. I mean, my very first, well, not my very first client. I'd say my first real paying client. Let's say that because I did do a lot of free work in the beginning to get started. Um, that I'm still with her, and so it's cool because when you grow with them and you see them hit these milestones and you see them grow, they have new needs and new wants or new things, and so I've also been able to again create a team that has different skill sets. So before like, well, and one of my quotes is do what you do best and delegate the rest. So I'm not going to spend time learning how to create a website just because my client needs one, right?
Yeah.
Find someone who can do that and who wants to, be a part of this collaborative team. And so as we've grown, we're able to collect all these new skills and resources and all that stuff. So I say that to say we do a lot of everything. Um, Definitely a lot on the marketing end, whether it's creating email marketing, newsletters, stuff like that. Again, I do have a lot of authors who are launching books. So a lot of marketing into that. Getting a lot of our clients on podcasts.
Mhm.
So, getting them there, but also a lot of our clients do have their own podcasts. So whether we're getting guests for them and kind of navigating that whole production process. Um, a lot of our clients are starting to get into more speaking engagements, speaking opportunities, doing a lot of that networking. Um, Even writing I mean things like blogs, not super crazy intense, but like some video editing again for the basics of like social media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, Research based stuff. I mean, there's a lot of like random things, just getting digital downloads. We have a couple clients with courses, online courses. Um, And I think it's just like getting all the ideas, breaking it down, what needs to get done. And again, teaching them how to delegate because when they get to that level where, okay, they can hire me or they can, invest more into their business. That's one of the main things is we like to hold on to our babies. Of course,
Yeah.
but a smart business owner knows how to delegate and how to save their time and energy towards the things that only they can do. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of the process too, is as they grow and letting them know where they need to expand in certain areas. I do have someone who works on their websites if they need that. So I don't know. It's like a lot of everything, but mostly like marketing stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good to know though, and I think that's awesome because you're getting experience in all different areas.
Yeah, it's been so cool, especially with the author piece of it, which I'd say is probably like 80% of our clients. They're everything from personal development and leadership to the recent one who just launched his book is How to Be a Cancer Patient. Um,
Mhm.
there's one that specifically is focused on postpartum, like fourth trimester. Like, so we really have like a really wide variety. And I think that's fun too, to mix it up and stay.
Yeah,
And that's one of the things I really love and kind of my background of working in so many different industries prior to is that like thinking out of the box, like
yeah,
thinking about like, okay, well, this is what you would normally do in a leadership, personal development space, but what if we tried this like in the postpartum fourth trimester? Like that's
yeah,
probably not the norm, but like let's see like how we can um like just mix it up and try something new and evolve and I feel like that's the fun part too, to try to see pick and choose of, well, I've seen this work, like how can we make it work for you?
Mhm. What would you say is the most fun project that you've worked on so far?
Hard one. Um, I don't know if I could pick like one doesn't necessarily stand out. I
Mhm,
think there's some that I learn more from or am more motivated or like more connected to. One of my clients, Cole Bershbeck with Total Potential, she's focused on personal development and growth, but in the sense of a family, where
mhm,
like most personal development is like you as an individual, but it's integrating your kids, integrating your spouse, integrating like all of that into your growth so that it's a whole unit kind of thing. So I've really loved that because I'm in that space where I'm married and have a kid. So it's
uh-huh,
cool to think about how can I've always been in the mindset of growth, but now when you look at it as like a big picture, it's really cool to connect with.
mhm.
But I'd say I definitely gravitate, and I've been really lucky to have a lot of personal development oriented clients because I'm like, it's like a win-win. I have a great client and I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm getting paid, but I'm also like being inspired by their content and I'm, getting to be a part of whether it's their book. I'm reading lots of books. I have a client. That's the first thing I do is print their transcript and read through. I'm reading on right now.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I'd say it's hard to say because again, I only pick people who I really want to work with
Yeah.
and like I get to like how can this contribute to me and I mean the fourth
Yeah.
trimester again I'm a mom having a baby like that was um the cancer one obviously is not personal to me but it's like I feel like everyone knows someone who has cancer or has dealt with that or lost someone
Yeah,
like that's a easy personal thing to connect with so
to get insight from that person too on
yeah
experience and
yeah
their thoughts.
yeah so I know I was like I can't really pinpoint one but I have a lot of great
Just out of curiosity, because you name
yeah
so much stuff that you do, so I'm like, it sounds fun, every project that you
yeah
work on.
I mean, some of them, I mean, there are some that are a little more, for instance, I have a client who her niche is leadership, but in construction. Like I
Oh,
have no
wow.
construction background, like that's very niche. But again, the basis is leadership and she's had a crazy successful career and has a heart for giving. And there's just so many things about her that's like really inspiring as well. So like she's literally retired but started this business. And so it's like you believe in it so much that even when you're done working, you're still working
Yeah.
on it.
Oh
You know?
my god,
So
that's
I feel
impressive.
like yeah, right? Some of them they just in different ways, are just super inspiring. So
Well, you kind of touched on it already that you're a mom, about
yeah.
to be a mom of two now, right?
Mhm.
A wife, you work, and then you do dancing still.
Yes. Yes. I
So you wear many hats, obviously. How do you manage to balance it all? We're
yeah.
all impressed with how much you juggle, and yet every time I see you, you seem like you're smiling and happy. But
Yeah.
I know there's probably
Yeah.
stressful days, of course, but
Girl.
um, we all have it. But
Yes. Yes.
how do you
Um
manage to juggle it all?
that's a great question. And I feel like I am usually genuinely joyful and when you live in gratitude I feel like that helps a lot but it is hard. I was going to say you saw me this past week like oh my gosh it's a hot mess. I literally my son was with my mom for a couple days because I needed a break. And I
Yeah.
think I'm in that, especially with the second one coming. I'm in the mindset of like, oh my gosh, like times this by two. Like I'm already psyching myself out.
Aw.
Relax. But I think so the dancing, I only teach about one class a week right now, so it's not too bad. But for me, I mean, that's been my whole life. I've danced my whole life. So it's always going to be part of me. And it's just like that me time. Even if it's just an hour a week, it's me, it's pouring into my cup. So that's always needed.
Uh-huh.
And even the business, I mean, we know the beginning stages are not easy. And
Yeah.
I think too, my husband like got to see, some of my hard times and is like, okay, well, you don't have to do this, right? Like you wanted to do this, right? Like you don't have to do this. Like, do you want to, like, he'll ask, like, do you want to stop? Do you need to slow down? Do you need to, and I'm like, when you feel, so driven by something, like you figure it out. I mean, I feel like it's equivalent, like being a business owner and a mother. Like that's probably why there's so many like great women entrepreneur and mom entrepreneurs out there, because it's like you wake up every day with your child, and some days you're like, oh my gosh, but you figure it out. Like you just
Yeah.
one day at a time. Um, so I'd say that I really say that, like one day at a time. And again, that's the best part of having your own business. And there's some days where I don't work at all because my son's my priority, or my husband has a day off and like, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's days where it's 9:30 at night, 10:30 working. Definitely on my phone a lot, which that's not necessarily ideal, but
Mhm.
um, I think that being just I would say some boundaries, around certain things for yourself. Um,
Mhm.
but also just, yeah, remembering why I'm doing any of those things. Your why is definitely always
Mhm.
important.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, the, the husband part is a little bit easier because he has a really crazy job too. So like for
Uh-huh.
instance, he's out of town right now. So stuff like that, like for me to be working on a Friday night, he's not here. So it's like fine. So certain things, there's some balance with that. But yeah, I just say, man, a day at a time. I
Yeah.
ask for the strength all the time. And sometimes I feel like we expect this like supernatural strength or supernatural energy or time or focus. And trust me, I lean on coffee a lot. But I think it's just enough. Like as long as you have enough to get through the day and get through the priorities, get what you need to get done, and you make a little step forward and keep going. It's not like we're gonna get it all done, save
Yeah.
the world tomorrow, but progress is, important, and celebrating every win, however small it is.
Yeah, most definitely. I like that. I definitely in every interview I like to ask that question because I feel like everyone needs to be reminded we're all human.
Yes,
We definitely work hard, but we do have our moments too. But I
yes,
think you're doing an amazing job.
thank you.
Anything else you wanted to share or anything that's coming up?
Not necessarily. I thank you for the opportunity. Of course, I have been a fan from well, I would say from the beginning. I don't know. Technically, when I started and when I reached out, but um, again, I gravitate towards people that are passionate about what they're doing, and that's stood out with you, obviously
Yeah,
supporting.
I was gonna say she's always supporting. We both just joined on and had the
Yes,
same connect on.
it's so crazy. Like when I had reached out to you, I was living in Seattle at the time.
Yeah.
Now that I'm in the Bay, I'm like, we need to get together. But yeah, so I'm grateful. I'm happy to share. I'm available to anyone who wants the support, really, because I know that if you want it, you're gonna figure it out how to make it work. But yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to share your story and your business, and I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy hearing about it. Do you want to share how people can reach out to you and your website as
Yeah,
well?
definitely. Yeah. So my website is harvest there's a dash between harvestpursuit .com, and social media, Instagram, Facebook. I was like, I might have to check my handle. I was like, I think there's how when you get started and you're like, I want all my names to match, and then there's
Yeah.
oops, you have to jump through like this. Yeah, my handle is harvest_pursuit. So different from the dash, but
Yeah.
you can find me there and reach out anytime. I said I'm available. I'm on there. So is my team, and they're great. Yeah. So
And I'll definitely put all your links underneath this video. And then you're also offering a free consultation, 45-minute, you said?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, free consultation. And I mean, it is a lot of getting to know you and why you're doing what you're doing, but I'm happy to be able to contribute something of value to you during that time. I think we can get through a lot, and actually on the website itself, you can book the consultation directly on there. It has my availability and you can book a time and we'll hop on and chat and just allow you to see a little bit of what it would look like to work with me. You get a follow up with detailed about everything we talked about and even some next steps ideas from me. So, yeah.
Thank you. And everyone, please go follow her. And if you're interested, I'll put everything down below.
Thank you.
Thank you.